Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the screen on this early 2014 MacBook Air model A1466. This is a 13-inch MacBook Air. Alright, so first thing we're going to use is a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver, and we're going to remove all the screws from the bottom here. Okay, you want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that is I put them with the flat side down in the pattern I remove them. So you got the 4 and then it goes around, alright, just like that. You just put them in that rectangular pattern on your desk. Okay. If you somehow mix them up, the 2 middle ones in the back here are longer than the rest. But again, you want to try and keep them in order the best you can, because sometimes the screws might look the same, but they are actually slightly different, alright? And if you put the wrong screws in the wrong place, you can permanently damage your computer. Okay. Alright, if my video ends up helping you, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can also learn how to fix their computers. And if you can, please consider contributing to the channel, especially if it helps you save a bunch of money. It'll be greatly appreciated. Even $1 helps. Alright. Okay, once you get all these screws out, we're going to pop the bottom cover off. Alright, so just like that, get all the screws. We're going to go from the back here where the hinges are, and we're going to pull this up here. Alright, so here you can see, got the cover off. It is a little dusty, so I am going to clean that up before I continue this repair, and I will see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I'm back. Clean up the dust a little bit. It's still a little bit stuck. Can't really get it out unless I use like a cloth or something, but most of the dust I got out. Used a toothbrush, scrubbed it up. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to remove the battery here. And to do that, we're going to switch to a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, and we're going to remove the 5 screws. So there's one on each corner, and then there's one in the center. Okay, so we'll remove all 5 screws. If you didn't already, make sure that your MacBook is off, of course. Shut it down through the shutdown menu. Don't hold down the power button unless you can't see what's on your screen. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all 5 screws. Again, keep the screws in order. It's very important. They are different size, shape, and lengths. The 3 up here are longer, and then the ones at the bottom are shorter, but you want to keep them in order. Alright, so there we go. Now to remove the battery, what you're going to want to do, once I remove the screws, I just get underneath with my fingernails. Again, you can use whatever you want, whatever you can to get the battery up. You can also use a piece of tape, just stick it on there and pull this up. Okay. Once you get this up, you're going to want to do, look very carefully. Let me zoom in. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm getting my fingers underneath the battery so that I can rotate this side upwards. Alright, and then we're going to grab this tab here. And to disconnect the battery, what you want to do is you want to wiggle it as you pull it. Just like that, and there you go. So the reason I'm rotating it up like this is because this part will usually get caught on this here. So if you just pull it straight back, there's a good chance you're going to end up damaging this cable. So be very careful with that. Alright, it's kind of dusty under this, so I'm going to scrub this out with a toothbrush and clean it up. Alright, got a little trash can to my side. I'm just going to clean that a little bit. Not going to be perfect, but I'm just going to get some of the bigger loose dust out so it's not in the computer. Right, there we go, and we'll set the battery aside. Can do the same thing with the inside here. There's some dust in there. Just kind of brush that aside and get that out. Okay. Alright, so we got that dust out. Alright, again, it's not perfect, but we do what we can. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this up now. And then press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds. This will drain any power that's left in the board to make sure that you don't damage the backlight circuit for the LCD. If you don't press and hold the power button here, there's a good chance that you will damage the backlight circuit or the screen connector itself. Alright, so now that we got that, I have other videos where I take the entire thing apart, but again, this is just going to be a screen disassembly video. Okay, so once you do that, we're going to flip this latch up here. Let me zoom in to make this easier to see. Okay, so we're going to flip this latch. I like to just use my fingernail underneath the latch itself to lift that up. Okay, just like that. Flip it up. All right, once you flip it up, grab the latch, and then towards the bottom you want to push with your fingers the connector back like that, and there we go. Looks like there was some liquid damage here, which is kind of weird. Hopefully there's no actual liquid damage. I don't know why the liquid indicator thing turned red. All right, then we got the connector over here for the camera going under here, and then we also got the wireless antennas over here that we need to remove. So let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and remove the wireless antennas first. To do that, I just go at the tails like this, and I just pull it up with both my fingers like that. It helps to have fingernails for this kind of thing. But again, you can use tweezers or whatever you want. All right, so again at the tail, and I'm just pulling straight up at the tail. Then we're going to unroute this cabling, okay, just like this. Just guide it through. It just wraps around there, okay, just like this. Okay, I have other videos showing this as well, so if for some reason this video is not clear enough, I do have a bunch of other videos showing the same process, okay? So this part, you want to try and move the rubber up out of the way a little bit, because we are going to have to pull this over. And this rubber piece looks like it was broken, but just hold that out of the way, okay? Looks like somebody worked on this before. So there's this little, usually there's a hidden screw here, but it looks like whoever worked on this put the antenna underneath there, so that's really weird. There's supposed to be a small screw there that you remove with the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver, but whoever worked on this last screwed it up. All right, they didn't put that screw back, or it got lost or it broke or something. All right, anyways, now we're going to disconnect this cable here. So I just use my fingernails again underneath. You can use whatever. All right, try not to use metal conductive tools for these, because these are the little circuits for that. And then we're gonna set this cable aside. Okay, so somebody messed with the screen before, because this does not look like the original stuff that was here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and remove this stuff. So to do that, we're gonna go ahead and remove the fan connector first. So yours should be normal. It wouldn't have this like broken coming out like that. So normally what you would do, we would take the T5 or Torx 5 screws out from the fan here. There's 3 screws. Okay, again, keep them in order. I don't know if these screws are the right screws, because somebody else worked on it, and I don't know what they did with the screws. So make sure to keep your screws in order. Okay, so we're going to remove the 3 screws from the fan. Okay, there we go. Again, 1, 2, 3. All right, now we're going to disconnect the fan cable. So let me zoom in to make this a little bit easier to see. So this has a little flip latch here, so we're going to flip the latch up. All right, hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing. So let's see, actually let me use this tool to make it easier for you to see. So we're going to use this tool, and we're going to flip this latch up just like that. Okay, once you do that, you can lift the fan up. Let me go closer here. All right, so you can lift the fan up, and then what you want to do is get your finger underneath to grab this cable, and then you can kind of wiggle the whole connector out just like that. So as you can see, I'm grabbing the wire on the back. Okay, we'll set the fan aside. We don't technically need to remove this whole board, but we do want to lift it up so we can get this cable out. So we're going to take this one screw out here as well. Okay. We're going to set that screw aside. All right, now that you got all the screws out, you can see you can lift this board up slightly. So the main thing is we need to remove this webcam or eyesight board. If you're going to be reusing this, you want to be extra careful. You can try using a tool to kind of like walk the connector out, but usually what I do is I just grab here, all right? And if you're careful and you kind of just wiggle it side to side as you pull it, it looks like they didn't tighten the screw right or something, or maybe they put the wrong screw there, so this board's moving. It shouldn't be moving like that. So I'm gonna hold this down, and then you just wiggle this connector as you slightly pull. As you can see, it disconnected. All right, let me see if I can tighten this screw. Maybe they put the wrong screw, and that's what I mean by you wanna make sure to put the same screws where you got them. Yeah, I don't know. That screw seems too long. So what I'm going to do, there's this smaller screw here, so I'm going to take that and hopefully this is the right screw. Okay. Wow, I think they mixed up a lot of the screws because this whole thing is kind of loose. Again, it shouldn't be like that, so somebody else worked on this and kind of messed it up, it seems. I don't know if this is the right screw either, but it might be wrong because the head of this screw is too small. But the other screw might be too long, so let me double check. Again, this is why it's important to get the right screws right where you got them from. Okay, because if you don't, again, you can cause problems. If you tighten a screw that's too long into the wrong spot, it can actually push through the other side and can damage the computer. Alright, hopefully it's okay. Okay, it's going to hold itself in place. Alright, so now we're going to lift this board up and we're going to thread this cable out. Somebody flipped this upside down, so we're going to have to disconnect this cable as well. So let's grab this and then kind of wiggle it as you pull it. As you can see, it comes out if you just wiggle it. And then we're going to lift this board up, unthread this from this spot here. There we go. Going to get this cable and plug that back in. Okay. Alright, hopefully the rest of the computer's working. This is a pretty, whoever worked on this is did a pretty sloppy job. Alright, we're going to now take out all the hinge screws, but there's one thing we need to do first. Let's zoom out. And I'll show you here. Come on, I need to see the edge of my desk here. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to open the MacBook all the way. Alright, do it slowly and open it completely until it doesn't open anymore. Alright, we're going to switch to a T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver bit, and we're going to remove the 3 screws from each hinge. Alright, again, you want to keep the screws in order. They are all different size, shape, and lengths. Alright, let's go ahead and get these 3 screws from this hinge out. Okay, maybe I'll put these in view so you can kind of see how I'm doing this. Okay. Then we'll take the 3 out from this side and do the same thing. Alright, I also like to use some thread locker here. I use the red kind because sometimes these screws come loose. Okay, and the blue stuff a lot of times doesn't help. Alright, so there we go. Remove that, then we let the screen drop so that it's about 90 degrees, and then we should be able to just lift this out. You might have to sometimes wiggle it around, but there we go. Alright, so we got the old screen out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get the replacement screen here. Okay, replacement screen. Okay, let's turn this up. Okay, here's the replacement screen. Gonna untape these things. Depending on what you bought, it might be a different setup depending how they attach all the pieces. Okay, get that out. Alright, there's some tape on this. I'm not sure why. We're gonna scrape that out and move that. Hopefully this bezel is staying in place and isn't just gonna randomly fall off. Okay, here, let's go ahead and remove this one. Okay, so we got that. Alright, so next what you're going to do is you're going to bend these hinges all the way open. Alright, if you can't do this by hand, you can use the T8 screwdriver. Just get it in the screw hole, and then you can use that to kind of twist the hinge open and close. Alright, but you want to be careful not to overly extend it, just until it stops. Okay, now we're going to hold all these cables up and out of the way. I use my fingers like this to hold it out of the way, and then we're going to slowly drop it into place. Okay, just like that, and then just like before, we're going to put back all those screws. Okay, let's see here. So now we're going to put the hinge screws back in. So make sure the wireless antennas and everything goes the right way. Let me see if I remember correctly. I think it goes this way. Okay. Am I putting this upside down or something? No, that should be right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the hinge screws back in. I'm going to just loosely fit them for now because we are going to put in, again, like I said, I'm going to use some thread locker there. Okay, so let's get all these 3 screws on this side in. Okay, then we're going to do the 3 screws on this side. Get this screw in first. Okay. Again, normally there would be a screw under here for this, holding for the motherboard. We're not doing anything with the motherboard, so we don't need to worry about that screw, but again, normally there would be one there in case you were wondering. Okay, so we can get this. Make sure this isn't getting in the way. It's kind of hitting this charge board, so I'm going to have to figure that out and fix that. Let me see, am I putting this upside down or something? Let's go ahead and get the old screen back, just so we can look at how this was. And that seems right, so okay, I don't know why it's not going in properly. Get that under there. There we go. Just like that. Again, we're just loosely fitting it for now. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is close the screen. Alright, be very careful. Do this slowly. Okay, just like that. Alright, now that we got everything back in, let's go ahead and zoom in. Oops. And then get this all lined up. Okay, I like to use my fingers on the edges to try and like move them all lined up. You can actually undo the screws a tiny bit. Make sure that it's still loose. Okay, just like that. Everything looks good. And then I'm gonna tighten just the, oops, let me zoom out a tiny bit here. And then I'm just going to tighten the centermost screws of the hinges. Okay, just so that it doesn't move around, so that I can get the thread locker to go down first. All right, so now that we got those, let's go ahead and get some red thread locker. You don't have to use the red one, you can use the blue one. I like to use the red one because sometimes the blue stuff comes loose, and I like this to be a bit stronger holding. All right, so we're gonna put a tiny bit on there. Don't need much, just like that, if you can even see it. All right, and then let's go ahead and tighten this down. All right, take the other screw out. Same thing, add some of that. Just a little, and get that and tighten that in. Okay, let's take the other screw back out. Put some more on there. All right, tighten that one in. All right, let's go to the other side, same thing. We're gonna take the screws out and then tighten them in. Get a little bit. Just like that. Tighten that in. All right, let's take this screw out. Tighten this in. All right, take the last one back out. All right, tighten that one in. There we go. So, oops, I'm gonna drop my rubbing alcohol. All right, so now that we got that, we're gonna go ahead and reassemble everything, okay? So first thing we're going to do is put this back. Let's zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is get the eyesight or webcam cable back threaded over here. Then the extra slack, we're gonna push it under there. And then we're gonna do the same thing, is put this back on there. If you want, you can pull this cable out and put that back underneath the other way. Okay, so we're going to get this cable in, get it lined up. Right, and then to push this cable in, I just use the screwdriver. You can use a plastic tool if you want to be extra safe, but I just walk it in like this, left side, right side, left side, right side, and I just keep doing that until it doesn't really move anymore. There we go. Once you get that, you can push that cable down there, okay? It follows the speaker. Then we can go ahead and push this cable in as well. Pinch the two pieces together. We're going to get the fan here. Make sure this latches up. Is this connector? Okay, it looks okay. All right, get that connector in. All right, make sure to push the connector in so it goes into the slot properly. Okay, if this cable's in the way, make sure to move it out. Go. Make sure that cable goes in all the way. You'll know it's in because the white line gets hidden under there. Right? Then slide your finger over the top to put that latch back down. Make sure the rubber piece is on correctly. Okay, for this piece, it helps to use your charger. I have this adapter. Make sure your charger, if you're using it, to unplug it. And then I like to attach that to make sure that the connector is out as far as possible. Okay, we're going to switch back to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Again, I like to pull on this to make sure it's out as far as possible. Let's go ahead and put this screw back in. Make sure you're not smashing this cable here, all right? Otherwise your left speaker is not going to work right if you damage that. All right, there we go. That's tightened in. Let's go ahead and start putting in the fan screws. Okay. It helps to put these in loosely at first, all right? You don't want to tighten them down right away. Okay, the reason I do that is now I can move this fan around, as you can see, and I'm going to hold this closer to the heatsink while I tighten this down. It's not super important that you do this, but it does get a little bit better cooling because it keeps the gap between the heatsink and that smaller. Okay. Now we're going to thread the wire for this in, but let's go ahead and put this cable back first. Okay, so this one, you just line it up and then push it back down. All right, clicks into place. Usually there's like adhesive under here, but I guess they peeled that off as well. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put this wire back. It helps to use multiple tools to do this. Okay, so I'm going to use, let's see here. So I'm going to use the T8 screwdriver bit to help with this. Okay, so what I do is I take this, like the smaller one, just to help guide it here. So as you can see, I'm just guiding it underneath. And then what you want to do, because the hard part is getting it underneath this rubber piece, so you have to use two to help do this, and you also have to kind of pull the rubber up. So I'm holding this side underneath, and then I'm using the other one to help push it. Okay, so when you push it all the way, make sure it goes underneath the rubber piece there, as you can see, like that. And then you can use the bigger one to help push the wire down. You don't want to use a small tool to push the wire down, otherwise you'll end up damaging it. The bigger tool kind of spreads the force that you're pushing down on it. Okay, so again, this wire is supposed to go under here as well. Right, it's not really twisting the way it should. I might have to use some tweezers to make this easier. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Normally you can just get the wire and then twist it by hand. Instead, you don't need to use tweezers for this, but because I have tweezers, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, there we go. So now we're getting it in that groove there, and then you just want to push it into place and then slowly work your way down. Same thing over here. I think this wire's like kind of rotating itself, so it's not completely vertical the way it should be. Okay, so once you get it vertical, then you can push it into that little groove there. Push it into that little groove. There we go. Okay, now that it's in the groove, we're going to just continue going down. Make sure the wire goes behind those screw mounts, because if you don't and you put the screws in, you can actually destroy that wire. Okay, and if you destroy this wire, your wireless isn't going to work properly. Your wireless, your Bluetooth, and everything's not going to work properly. Okay, let's continue moving over, and then we'll get the wireless antenna around that as well. Okay, get the longer wire in there first. Okay, make sure it goes into that groove there. Alright, and then we're going to get the antenna in. Just line it up. Okay, helps to also use tweezers with this a little bit. Get it lined up. You know it's lined up because right now if I try and move it around while it's in place, it doesn't move around. And then you can go ahead and click that into place. Here we go. Get the other one. There's some weird like sticky looking liquid residue here. I don't know if somebody used glue on it or what. But yeah, alright, same thing. Get this one lined up. And then click that into place just like that. There we go. So that's all lined up and clicked in. Alright, now we're going to put back the LCD or LVDS cable connector here. Okay, so to do that, just grab that, get it lined up, and then again use the little metal latch to help pull that into place, and then you can flip it down. Make sure you push this in completely and then click down this piece. Alright, there we go. I'm going to switch back to my T5 screwdriver so I can put back the battery. Alright, so let's zoom back out here. Alright, let's go ahead and put the battery back in. Alright, take the battery, get this lined up here. Okay, I'm holding the battery up while I'm doing this. Alright, and then you can pinch the two together so it's fully connected, and then drop the battery back into place. It's good to put the middle screw back in first. Alright, make sure everything is lined up, and then we'll put back the rest. Just like this. Alright, and then after we do the replacement, we're going to do a PRAM and SMC reset. I do this every time I do like some big hardware or software change. A lot of people ask me why. Just because it's good for the computer. It resets like BIOS settings and other built-in settings that the computer remembers. If you want more details of what it does, then you'll want to like Google that, because I don't have that off the top of my head. It resets quite a bit of things, but don't worry, it doesn't cause you to lose any data or anything like that. So yeah, don't worry about anything like that. It's perfectly safe to do it, and it only takes a few seconds, so why not? Alright, so let's plug this in. Alright, so if your battery is less than 90%, it should be orange like this. So first thing we're going to do is the SMC reset. So the way you do that is Control Option Shift on the left side and then the power button. If it works right, you'll see the light goes green and then it goes back to orange. So that's how you know you did the SMC reset properly. So now I'm going to do a PRAM reset. So right now here you can see the screen is actually working already. So to do the PRAM reset, what I'm going to do, you don't need to do the SMC reset again, but I'm going to do that so I don't have to press and hold the power button for however long to shut it off. So I'm going to do that, turn it off, and then we're going to do PRAM reset, which is Command Option P and R. As you know, as you heard the chime. Okay, the screen should flash back off, and then you should hear the chime a second time, and that's how you know you did the PRAM reset properly. So there you go. And if your volume was low, you'll notice that the chime was louder the second time, and that's because it resets the volume settings and things like that. Okay, so that helps with thermal issues and sound issues and other things like that. And sometimes if you don't do that, your computer will run slower than normal. So PRAM SMC reset sometimes also fixes like issues with the computer running slow. Okay, so the computer is booting up just fine now. Here you can see. All right. Okay, so we're gonna close this up. This thing has some stuff written on it, so we're gonna just clean that off. To clean that off, you just get some rubbing alcohol. All right. I just use a paper towel and rubbing alcohol to do this. All right, this is 91% rubbing alcohol. You can use whatever, it can be 70 whatever percent or something. The 90% is more effective with grease or oil-based, lipid-based, non-polar stuff. All right, so we'll use that. If you didn't learn what that is in science class, then you can look that up too. But they have a thing that says like dissolves like, so water dissolves other polar stuff, so like sugar, salt, things like that. So rubbing alcohol wouldn't really be good for cleaning up sugar and salt and other stuff like that, so keep that in mind. This works for permanent marker, is oil-based, and that's why water doesn't dissolve it. All right. So we're going to clean that off. There we go. Permanent marker has been cleaned up. There are some light scratches on this, but this is a used screen, so that's to be expected. And there we go, much cleaner now. Okay, and then the screen, oh, I don't think I should show the username, but there you go, it's working well. And there we go, we're gonna shut this down, and then we're gonna put back the screws. Okay, but that's pretty much it. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others. All right, we're switching back to the T5, or not the T5, the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver to put back these screws. Again, thanks for watching. You're welcome to stay while I put back the rest of the screws. All right, don't forget, like, subscribe, help my channel grow. It'll help other people with their computers. If you can, if this video helped you save a bunch of money, again, consider throwing a little my way. Every little bit helps. Even $1 is greatly appreciated. All right, and that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and finish putting back all these screws. My YouTube channel, even though I have quite a few subscribers, most of my subscribers aren't going to sit through and watch all my computer repair videos. So my content, it's not the type that really makes me too much money. That's why in most of my videos I ask if it helps you to please consider helping me out. All right. If you notice on my videos, it helps a lot of people, but my videos will rarely get over like 500 views. And that's because I work on like thousands of these different computers, and each computer will just get like one view from somebody that wants to fix their specific computer. So YouTube's not set up in a way to help me make money like this. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.